We call followers of ISIS jihadists, but what does that mean? Is their ideology true Islam, or is it a twisted variation of it? Watch on to find out. I'm Ryan F. Gassian, and today I'm going to look at what drives jihadists. From the last two videos of this subject, we learned that negative secularism brought about the rise of political Islam and sparked the sectarian wars we see in the Middle East. Political Islam is not the same as jihad, and it has a very different lineage. Jihadism, in the modern sense of the word, evolved from a reform movement called Wahhabism, which appeared in what would later be called Saudi Arabia in the 1700s. The movement was named after its founder, Muhammad al-Wahhab. It was a response not to secularism or the West, but to Islam's own maturity. All religions change over time. Did you know that the early Jews performed human sacrifices? Probably not. Read the last third paragraph of Leviticus. Islam was no different. By the time of al-Wahhab, its rules were no longer strictly enforced. You were discouraged from drinking wine, but not forbidden. Women weren't stoned to death for committing adultery, and many Muslims revered their saints and even visited their tombs. Much of this was outlawed in Islam, but again, times change, and so do religions. Al-Wahhab objected to these changes and gathered like-minded individuals around him. They destroyed the grave of a companion of the Prophet Muhammad, cut down trees seen as sacred by the community, and started murdering women who confessed to adultery. Wahhabism calls for forcing all Muslims to adhere to its teachings. As you can imagine, many were not happy with this, and in one case, al-Wahhab was driven out of town. Nothing might have come of his teachings if he had not made an alliance with Muhammad bin Saad. Bin Saad was the ruler of a town called Dahira. He sheltered al-Wahhab, and together the two would later conquer much of Najd, a region that makes up part of modern-day Saudi Arabia. They would call their new kingdom the Emirate of Najd. It didn't last long. By 1818, it fell to the Ottoman Empire and would remain under their control until the end of World War I. Even after World War I, it wasn't until 1932 that bin Saud's descendants regained the territory they had lost a century ago. By merging two kingdoms together, they formed what's now referred as Saudi Arabia. 6 years later, prospectors from the United States discovered vast reserve of oil under its sands. Overnight, the House of Saud went from rags to riches. They used their insane amount of wealth to spread Wahhabism throughout the Middle East and beyond. There is more to this story, which I will cover in my next video, how the CIA helped spread jihad around the globe. For now, understand that Wahhabism was a reaction to Islam's modernity. We should not define Islam by the jihadists, no more than we should judge Jews today by their human sacrificing ancestors. Islam is evolving and will continue to evolve. The jihadists know this and fear it. That's what's driving their attacks against the West and non-Wahhabists. They fear our continued relationship will fuel Islam's evolution. Cultures change when they meet other cultures, as do religions. Muslims living in the West are far more secular than their Middle East counterparts. The last thing we should do is discourage this by pushing away moderate Muslims. Instead, we should stand together to combat this toxic ideology. Fight back with words, not swords. It's the only way we'll defeat these barbaric savages. Thank you for listening, and please help my channel by liking this video and subscribing. Oh, and visit my website at www.darknessinamerica.com to read my short stories about a future United States where people live in fear of inquisitors, telepathic assassins who police the populace for thought crimes.